Hey, this is Ron with Ron's Fuel Stop. Part 5 in talking about preparing ourselves, our minds, our spirit, our inner person for perilous times. They are coming, and we are living in them day to day. Challenging times. Times that some would call living in the last days. Never mind that people have probably done that for hundreds of years. But we are wanting to be ready and not to be offended when the Lord allows us to go through something that really is intended to make us shine. Like in the Old Testament of the Bible, the children of Israel were supposed to do among the nations. So I mentioned last time that Peter was attacked by the enemy, remember, by the fire. And he was attacked in his weakness. But if you think about it, he wasn't attacked in his weakness. He was attacked in his strength. Yeah. Because, see, Peter's strength was being bold and communicating and being confident. And so, just like with Peter, what happens often with us is that our strength becomes our weakness. Our strength becomes the thing that we don't guard, that we don't try so hard. And the enemy will use that sneakily against us. Now remember, what we've been talking about here is being able to hear from God. And I left you last time saying that I asked you the question, what do you allow that keeps you from being able to hear from God? And we're going to get into that a little bit in a personal story of mine. But first, let's think about what Jesus' encounter with Peter was, where Peter really began to follow him. Peter had fished all night with his friends, and then Jesus said to him, "Cast your net on the other side." Now, if you're not careful, what you'll think about there is that Peter was looking for fish, and Jesus helped him find fish. There you go. That the story was about provision. That's not what the story was really about when you think about it. The Chosen does such a great job with this because it has Jesus and Peter on the shore. The boat is up in the shallows. And then Jesus says, "Cast your net on the other side," and he throws it in the water in the shallows, and it's full of fish, which obviously means that Jesus brought the fish, and what Peter saw was how unbelievable it is to follow Christ. That if you listen to him and you do what he says, what he commands, what he whispers, that the results are not always logical, but they are good. I'm talking a little bit here about the things that we do that sometimes block us being able to hear from the Lord. And I'm going to tell a kind of a personal one on myself here. So this is about really guarding all of our time and thinking of all of our time as a time where we can be connected to the Lord. So here's something about me. I love female jazz vocalists and even a little country. And I've asked myself, why is it that I love that so much? I'll listen to them when I'm driving through traffic in big cities, maybe in a snowstorm, or maybe when things aren't going so well, finances are tight, I'm worried about things. And what happens is that soothing voice of the female jazz vocalist or the female country artist soothes me, and it soothes my spirit. but it really doesn't soothe my spirit. It just calms me. And the Lord convicted me. That is like a replacement for me. Who's supposed to calm my spirit? Who's supposed to give me peace? The Lord. So do you think that it's easy for me to hear from the Lord when I'm listening to that jazz female vocalist or that female country artist who's probably talking about things that are not involved in hearing from the Lord? So that, I'm not saying I can't listen to ever again, no more jazz female artists. But I have a friend, this is from a while back, and I remember he said to me, Ron, I can't listen to country music anymore because every time I listen to a country song, it makes me want to have a beer. He says, and that one thing leads to another. So for him, the trigger to drink too much was listening to country music. You see, he'd learned something about himself. And I think we have to be mindful of what is going on with us throughout the day. How did I get this feeling I'm having right now? Where did it come from? What did I do to sow into it? And how am I now keeping myself from being able to listen to the Lord and have Him help me? You know, hearing from the Lord, which we're going to be talking about over the next number of videos, is a little bit like going to a buffet. Now, some of you you like the finer foods like my wife. They bring it out and it costs like 5 times too much and it's this big, but the atmosphere is fantastic. That's not Old Country Buffet. At Old Country Buffet, they have everything you'd ever want, and you probably should not eat everything. But if you're a child, you might eat a lot of the wrong things when you're there. And so they might need some help from mom and dad. Mom and dad will say, well, you can have that, but you have to have this. Because an immature person does not know how to make good choices when all of the choices are offered. And you know, that's how it is a little bit with the Lord's Word. There's so much there. How do I know what I need today? And all I can do on a regular basis is put it in me, and put it in me, and put it in me, and then allow the Lord to bring it out. I love these couple of verses. There's one here. Let's see if we can spin things around. Right here in Psalms 104, verses 27 through 29, the Lord is talking, or the psalmist is talking about all the different things from the sea and the Leviathan and large animals and all these different things going on, lions. And then he says, look at all, these all look to you to give them their food in due season. So the Lord has prepared things. When you give it to them, they gather it up. When you open your hand, they are filled with good things. When you hide your face, they are dismayed. And then over here, Psalm 145:15. The eyes of the Lord, the eyes of all who look to you, and you give them their food in due season. So, in closing here, we're still kind of working on the concept of what I'm talking about. I'm concerned that some people think that the Lord is not involved in the details of their life. That He kind of says, well, you know, give your heart to me, and then you'll be on your way to heaven, and then now go do what you do best. But the problem is, many times when we go to do what we do best, we don't do so well. And it's because we're doing it on our own. And what I'm proposing here, that in any day, but especially in these days that we call perilous times. We need to stay in touch. We need to be mindful of what is going on at the moment. Why am I angry? How did I get so angry? Why am I sad? What did I expect would happen and it didn't happen, and I had my hope in that instead of in the Lord? What in my subconscious am I doing that makes me feel fulfilled, but when it's all over, it leaves me empty? Because these are things that are replacements for listening to the Lord and sensing and feeling his intimacy. And then allowing him to bring up that food to your soul in due season. Possibly when you're going to sleep tonight and you're laying there and you're saying, Lord, what do you want to speak to me? The other night, I asked the Lord for that, and during the night, I saw a banner scrolling by my face of block words telling me something. And I'm like, well, Lord, I think that's probably from you. And this is the way the Lord wants to communicate. You know, everything in Scripture shows that the Lord is most interested in a relationship with you. You know, relationships are such where you call that person and you expect them to call you back. And if they don't call you back and then you call them again and they don't call you back, eventually you feel like they don't want a relationship with you. The Lord is calling you, and he's looking for you through the day. So listen for him. See you next time.